Hi, I'm Pauline.
Hey, I'm Priscilla.
I'm Pal.
And I'm Tamiron.
And this is the P3T podcast.
Woo!
Guy, what did they say? Tell us.
They did the whole intro and then they're like, woo!
It's okay, they're
The
allowed.
woo stage.
Are they allowed? Are they really allowed?
Alright. Welcome back to another episode, guys. And today we're going to be talking about basically just the conversation is going to be about religion versus intellectualism. Do you sometimes feel like when you're religious, people kind of assume you're not smart, or it comes with the assumption that you're not really that smart and you don't, like you're not aware of real life, you're just in your own kababo living. Yeah. So the first thing I wanted us to discuss was, do you think religion is in direct opposition to intellectualism? We can start with Pal.
Do you think?
Do you think religion is in direct opposition to intellectualism?
No, there are very many smart people in the Christian faith. I feel like we have many scientists. We have many people in STEM, many people doing anything, everything and anything. The other day, I was at a Bible study workshop. Sorry, I'm sick by the way. So mkisikia throat clearing, coughing, nini, poleni, itabidi mmeadapt. So, what was I saying? Oh, so the other day I attended a workshop and it was for Bible study, and the guy pastor taking us through it was talking about that he studied physics in his degree. So I was like, wow, but wow. Wow, we have really smart people in like the Christian faith, and especially like certain, let me not say all, certain pastors, they'll do like their first degree on something like highly intellectual, and then the second degree is when they'll be called by God, and then they go and do theology for their masters. So I think no, and then also there's a lot of knowledge in the Bible that makes sense. So this is not an intellectualism thing. It kind of is, I guess. You see, like when you're having, the Bible says, a part of the Bible that says, don't be anxious, but let me find that. What does that verse say?
In all things, trust the Lord. The one for Proverbs.
I don't know. I think it's in Ephesians. Let me see.
Oh, okay, then I don't know that one.
1 second.
Philippians 4:6-7, I think.
What does it say? Okay. So, there's this verse in the Bible that the Philippians 4:6-7, it says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Nimesoma, viewers, listeners, nimesoma. So, you see that verse, it talks about, so I never interpreted it until I watched, obviously, a TikTok about it. And they were saying, the person in that TikTok was saying, this verse has so much wisdom, because when you have anxiety and you pray and you start to thank God about everything around you, it leaves you to stop thinking about whatever you're anxious about. It centers you. So that thanksgiving, it centers you. The gratitude will center you. And then now you present your requests to God. So it's that, I think, is really profound, because in psychology, in therapy, you're told if you're anxious, just like breathe in, breathe out, look at 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can smell, those things. And I feel like it's almost the same, because it's telling you to take a break
and center your thoughts. So now but except in the Bible, you're centering your thoughts around God. So it's the same, I think, in my opinion, the same type of thinking, which is intellectualism. And then you also look at books like Proverbs that are like wisdom on wisdom on wisdom. Yeah. Priscilla?
I think the question was whether it's in direct opposition to faith.
Yeah, is like religiosity in direct opposition to
religion.
Because I'm using the same version of is religion in direct opposition to intellectualism?
I don't think so. Maybe I like how Paula explained it. Maybe just to add on to what she said, the fact that, okay, kind of repeating what she said, like in the faith, there are so many people who are very intellectual, people in the sciences, technological aspects of their life, like Tammy. Also, I think the one that really surprised me was when I learned that Tyler Perry was also quite a faith person. Like, yeah, he's
Madia.
He's very. The other day he was in. Was it the other day? But I saw him in Joel Austin's church, and he was giving a sermon.
Everybody's in Joel Austin's
Yeah,
but he has like publicly said that he's a Christian.
And he even in as much as yes, Joel Austin's church is kind of questionable.
Question mark.
I liked his sermon.
He preached.
He preached. It was so good. I was like, wow. And he had a lot of wisdom to share. And there's just something else I'd like to add. Also, it's in the Bible. Sorry. I actually highlighted it. Because there was one time we went for a fellowship. Why does this sound like you repeating what she said?
It's not the same thing.
But like there's a scripture that also relates to psychology. Ephesians.
Do you think it will be hard?
It's loud.
Yeah. It's okay. We finally got that cut in the intro.
Yeah. We
manifested it. We pray.
Actually, that's a
But
question.
manifesting is also in
That's
God's
a
word.
question.
But manifestation is like speaking it into life in Jesus' name.
Next episode.
Yes. Anyhow, so I'm so sorry. I'm really looking. It was in our fellowship. So basically, there's a verse that talks about we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against strongholds, something like that. And there was something that I got from that sermon, and our preacher was talking about it in the fellowship we went for. That the battle does not begin with like physicality, it begins with the mind. And a lot of times we tend to like a lot of our problems, even we're learning about it in perception, in psychology, how you perceive things, how a lot of times the way we perceive things is sometimes even mounts up the problem that we are facing. And it kind of relates to what you're saying about like remaining grounded and not remaining grounded, centering your thoughts in God, so that now it calms you. You can focus and keep your it helps subside your anxiety. And I feel like that is very wise. It's very intellectual. I don't think it's a direct opposition, but it's a correlation. Like they intertwine. So I don't think either I'm not of the opinion that either can stand alone.
Yes,
Yeah, they have to correlate to make sense. Yeah.
Tamiron?
I was looking for that. Found it. It's Ephesians chapter 6 from verse 11 to 12. Okay, anyway, put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against powers of this dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm. Heavenly realms. Was that the verse you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. But there's another verse I'm trying to remember, but it was in correlation with that too. Yeah, but not that. But it was talking about how it's something to do with the mind. Like it's not physical, but spiritually. Because you know the way people say, guard your heart and guard your mind. Like, yeah, the battles don't begin physically. They first have to manifest spiritually. And But now this is going too deep. Like spiritually means your consciousness, your there are a lot of things that entail spirituality, and your consciousness is in your mind. And that's why it's very key, even in the Bible, meditate on the word of God, because you're guarding your mind at it. Yeah. Well, at it, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to conquer is the right word, to agree.
To agree with.
Yeah. Yeah. My fellow sisters in Christ.
Oh, sisters,
Yeah. I do agree that they're not mutually exclusive. Personally, I think intellectual
That one, smartness.
smartness just goes to prove how intricate and smart, like, for me, honestly, it just proves that God is a scientist of scientists. Because, like, look at creation. Okay, let's not even go to creation. Look at ourselves. Like, when I was learning biology, and I was seeing how, like, the digestive system works to provide energy to your body, like how blood is pumped to, like, every part of your body. That to me just proved how intricate God is in His creation. I remember in 2020, that's the period of time we used to do, like, house services. And I had this sermon from, okay, what we used to do, I hope it was not illegal, but in 2020 what we do is, my family and my mom's friend.
You just say, I hope it wasn't illegal.
Yeah, because in 2020 there was a lot of restrictions. But what we do is that we come together and, like, on Sundays especially, and have fellowship together. So one person would lead the service, like, preach, and then, like, the rest neighbor, blah blah blah. So I remember in one of those on one of those Sundays, we actually had a similar sermon that just was explaining God's splendor from a scientific point of view.
I know what you're talking about.
Like, I sometimes when I think about it, I just get so overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say. Because, like, the planets are held together. Gravity. Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
See, it's the sun's gravity that kind of holds
It's
all the planets
the
together.
I think I'm not sure if this is statistic or it's just a quote, but they usually say, if there was something in the universe that existed even slightly out of space from where it is, we probably wouldn't be alive.
Exactly.
It's actually, I've seen that adaptation in Young Sheldon. He was saying how if the sun if gravity were to be 0.00001 amiss, the universe would have crumbled in itself. Yeah.
See, such things like that, for me, I tie it back to creation and how God just knew, like, precision.
Yeah.
You know, like, things were exactly how they were meant to be for us to sustain
Us.
humanity and to sustain. Okay, personally, I believe there just might be other things out there we never know. So to sustain them, maybe, I don't know.
Who knows?
So yeah, like, for me, that just
Stood out
for me.
You know, that's actually a branch of theology. It's called natural theology, where they seek to understand the attributes of God separate from divine revelation. So they seek to explain God through science, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I think another interesting thing that no, I lost my train of thought. It's okay. I think, yeah, I agree with all of you. And for me, one of the major things that helps me agree is just the the church history especially, because if you're looking, I'm not going to go too deep into church history, but if you're looking at the Catholic Church and how it grew and how it developed, like one of the main things the Catholic Church did is they had people study the world. Well, not like by force, but yes, by force. You know how the Catholic Church is.
Don't say that.
We love you, our Catholic brothers and sisters. We love you.
There's an influx of a lot of people leaving Protestant or Pentecostal churches to Catholicism.
Yeah, even into Orthodoxy, there are so many people moving back into like old churches. Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon.
Like now, some churches need to do an introspection. It even speaks to. Okay, it's kind of. Let's just continue. It speaks to the Shakahola. Sorry.
Yeah, I knew that's what I meant. I think there's like things like the Big Bang Theory. Like those things came about to be because of how much time people spent studying the world because of their faith. Because it was like, if we're going to understand God, then we might as well start by understanding His creation. And like there's so much of that is embedded in church history. I think it's really hard for me to separate the two. Like I think it was Priscilla who said they can't both exist on their own, and I think they also both serve different purposes. Like if you're looking at, let's say, science, and you're looking at science seeks to explain the things we can see, the things we can perceive, the things that are here. That's what science seeks to do. But like when you're looking at religion and study of religion, it seeks to explain the things that are beyond what we can see and what we can hear and what we can perceive here. So I think for that reason, the two must exist together. You can't separate them.
Okay, just like a quick clarification. By intellectualism, is that right?
Yeah.
Like, what do we mean exactly?
Okay,
we mean the existence of science.
Not really the existence of science, but okay, yes, I'm going to say the existence of science because of how people treat science today. People treat science today as like almost a religion. Like if science has not said we don't agree, we disagree completely. So I think that's what I mean when I'm talking about intellectualism, because like so many people will be like, okay, but what's the scientific proof? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Yes, Priscilla.
I need water. Hot water.
Oh yeah. I go
Can we start the episode?
Okay, sawa. The next thing I wanted us to go through is ilifungwa. Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. So now I want us to talk about certain scientific truths, kind of, that the church is in direct opposition of, that kind of, I feel like, pushes people away from the church. And the one I wanted us to talk about was mainly evolution. And the reason actually that I wanted us to talk about this is because there's a school somewhere in America. You know how America is like crazy religious? America is quite religious.
It's weird religious.
Crazy religious.
Kenya is crazy religious because, like, have you had the debates against certain things in this country? It's just, there's no basis for intellect. It's just all about religion. So,
like the one, it reminds me of that episode of, do you guys see it? The one on the Ngugi show for LGBTQ.
I've not watched that episode yet.
I'd prefer the part 2. Part 1 was very no, it was very narrow-minded, in my opinion. Part 2 had more open-minded people, and because I think Daddy Owen really ruined part 1, because he was, you see the way you're saying crazy religion, it was so,
the conversation was just God said God.
Yeah, and then it's so emotional, because even there was a lady on this other side who now in the LGBTQ community who was now super emotional about it. So there was no like point of let's understand the whole topic. It was now very
me versus you.
Yeah, me versus you.
Trying to find common ground. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh my god. Oh yeah. So there's a part in America. I don't know if it's a state. I don't know if it's I also don't know if this is propaganda. So it's just these things you see on social media and you don't know if it's real or not. But yeah, there's apparently a school or a district in the States where they've banned the teaching of the theory of evolution.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it like
it's-
left-handed?
Florida.
Left.
It's Florida.
It's probably it's always
It's always Florida.
But I thought Florida has just banned books, like in school. What? Yeah?
They
Not
banned-
all books,
they banned
graphic books in
graphic
school.
and CRT books.
Yeah, graphic and
What's graphic and-
critical race theory. Graphic books are just books that talk about sex.
They banned race books.
They've banned books that are based off of CRT as a like a launching point, like as
What do you
their
mean critical
core.
race?
It's basically a theory that asserts because of racial injustices in the human experience, social issues must always be viewed, okay, not must always be viewed, but should be viewed from a racial lens.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
I've
Florida.
learned something new.
Okay, now, but I don't know if Florida is the one for evolution. I don't know if that's
Okay.
Florida. But there is a district somewhere. I also don't know if this is real. It might be propaganda.
Inasemekana kwamba kuna mahali ambapo
Wanasema. And like you know the reason. You know the reason for that ban is probably just because Christians in that state have said, oh, this is against our religion, therefore we won't teach it. But I think that's wrong. Like I feel like that's number one. I think it harms the religion more than it does good, because then what message are you spreading? The message you're spreading is, hey, there are certain truths they are far from the Lord, you know. And so
Would you call them truths or facts?
there are certain things.
That's a good question.
what is a truth? What is a fact? Man, I honestly don't know.
I remember I learned I was doing philosophical anthropology.
Wow.
Why were you doing that?
Our school makes us. I think it makes every
That's so
whatever do it.
diverse,
Every course do it. And they were saying that there's a difference. I can't remember the exact difference. I just remember the definition of truth. A truth is something that's undisputed and can it's. I want to say it's a fact, but it's not a fact. It's undisputed.
And what's
It's
a
what
fact?
it is and what it is. A fact is, I think it was viewed from more of a scientific lens. So it's something that you investigate and then establish after, like, your investigation have proven something, you establish it to be a fact. So I remember, like, gravity was a fact. A truth, I can't remember what a truth was.
A truth is if I jump off the building, I'll fall. That's a truth.
That's, yeah.
And then gravity is now the fact.
Yeah.
So I've gotten Google. A fact is something that's indisputable based on empirical research and quantifiable measures. Facts go beyond theories. They are proven through calculation and experience, or they are something that definitively occurred in the past. Truth is entirely different. It may include fact, but it can also include belief. So I think truth is relative and fact is concrete. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so like such things where the church holds such a strong opposition against something that everybody in academia, everybody who basically goes through any form of education past primary is taught to be something that happened. You know, you may disagree on how it happened, why it happened, how it happened, why it happened, when it happened, but like the truth is that it happened, you know. So like I feel like when things like that happen, it kind of pushes this story where kind of pushes the idea that the church is in direct opposition to like science and nini. So what do you guys think about that? Yeah, Pal.
I think what do I think? I think I think we're not called to be ignorant. So you know when we say we are in the world, but not of the world. But it says we are in the world.
Yeah.
And if we're not being of the world, then we need to some extent, we need to know what the world contains. So we don't have to practice or preach it, but we need to know. Because how else do you reach out to people if you don't know how to connect to them? You know. So I think I don't agree with the evolution things being taken out. What I would encourage is an option of religion being taught in these schools. So you get, so that it's like, no, actually, I don't encourage that. We have to chase for a reason. So what I'd say is teach the evolution, but then in your homes, reinforce the fact that you guys believe in this. This is the truth that you believe in. So you believe in Jesus and you believe in what, all of that. And maybe some bits of evolution you believe, but some other bits of the evolution theory, like, things can't, I don't know. let me leave that at that. So I think we're not called to be ignorant. So putting children in a bubble will not help them. It will help them in the future. When they're trying to not be of the world, they won't know what it is
the world that they shouldn't be.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you won't know, you can't know joy if you don't know sorrow, you know. Yeah.
You need to know both.
I have a question now for what you said. Why don't you think like the religion shouldn't be taught in school?
I think it can, but you know, people have different belief systems, so
it can't be compulsory.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it can be offered as an option. So like if you want, you take, but I don't think like it's like if this country was majority Muslim, it's like forcing all of us to take Ahari, you know, and we're not Muslims. So I think it could be included as a subject. But even then, like me, I feel like I didn't become more religious because I learned theory.
It didn't help in any way.
It was more of a subject than it was a way to build your faith.
I think also though, if you want to teach theory by force, then just say you're a Christian school, finish it at that. Like just be very open about it. Don't try and be like, oh, we're a secular school, but also you have to do theory. Like, no, don't be that guy, you know, just
make it clear from the jump.
Make it clear from the jump what people are signing up onto. And you know the Christians will come to your school, so you don't have to worry about clients. Don't worry about clients, and you'll get them.
Also, some people will come to your school even if it's Christian. Like if it does well, even those who are not Christian will be like pros, cons.
Clearly, like this school, like Precious Blood is a Christian school and CRE is compulsory for everybody, you know, but it does really well, so people still take their children to Precious Blood.
Even in Kianda, they teach you the doctrine in whatever they believe in.
Wait, is Kianda Catholic or
it's Opus Dei?
Oh, it's Opus Dei as well.
Opus Dei is not Catholic.
It is.
It's very
kind of
close. It's like it's
not just a branch of Catholicism.
I thought it was a branch of Catholicism.
No, it's like an offshoot. It's like wamekaribiana. They are siblings.
It's like Anglican and Catholic. They're similar, but they're not really
the same.
What's the difference between Anglican and Orthodox?
Oh, let me tell you.
Easy to nenda.
Sorry, to go off board. Remind me, I'll tell you after the episode.
Okay, sawa.
The question?
That's a good question.
Like
what do you think the effect of doing such things has on both like the kids and also just the faith as a lad, like on the church?
Them banning,
like refusing to teach evolution.
Again, it's like with what Paul said. I agree with what she said. I think because we're in this world, you need to be knowledgeable of where you're living. It's not again what she said. You're not called to be ignorant. You need to know these things. It's like you live. It's how I'll use an example of my lecturer. He kind of shades the international students. For real. I'm telling you, my leg is weird. Anywho, he shades the international students because he's like, how are you in Kenya? and you don't know what's happening in the country. Like, you need to know. Okay, even some Kenyans don't know what's happening in the country. So, anywho, but just to and what's it called, promote enlightenment, and knowledge, and for you to know in case there's a coup, you're not like, oh my god, there's a coup and you're about to die. No. And you didn't know. You need to be aware of the environment you are in. You can't be living blindsided. It's not right. It's not healthy for both you and for the people around you. And so I think what they did was not right. Everyone needs to be knowledgeable with key things that have happened in history, with the theories in life. The same way, like, Muslims can't be ignorant that there are actual Christians in the world. Same case, we can't ignore that there are Muslims in the world. Or, we are in a planet of diverse individuals. We need to know the diversity in the world. You don't need to practice it or subscribe to it, but at least you know that it exists. Yeah. So, well, I don't think that was right. Yeah.
Can I also add to like people being ignorant? I think also it weakens. If you're ignorant, it will weaken your argument as a Christian. So, for example, there's this guy who came to preach when I was a teenager. This man who came to preach to us in Teens Church, and he had had somebody else in a different preaching mentioning the series Lucifer. So he didn't know what he was talking about. So he comes and he says, yeah, even with these shows, like there's this show, it's called Lucifer. They are brainwashing you. They are washing your minds. They are putting this man on the screen and they're telling you to become Satanists. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch. Like, you don't even know the plot. You don't know anything. All you did was hear somebody talking about the series Lucifer, and then you went and started spreading your own propaganda. Like, you're not, those who are partaking of such media and such content are going to know you don't know what you're saying. So you're not going to have convinced them to turn to the faith. So that's the problem with ignorance. You don't know how to, as I said before, you don't know how to connect with people. You don't know how to argue with them. You don't have facts. So, and in this day and age when everybody wants to be an intellectual, you need to argue with people. Yes, you're arguing with them from a faith point of view, but if you can't meet them intellectually, then there's nothing you're telling them. Or if you're not meeting with them in this area of knowledge, then there's nothing you're telling them. Brother could have just pulled up the plot of Lucifer on Wikipedia. And he would have known what it means. Yeah, he could have just pulled it up and seen, also, this is what young people are watching, because it's like 30-something-ish. Maybe, I think he's in his 40s. So,
that's not even that old.
Yeah, it's not that old, but like people who grew up in a Christian bubble. He's one of those guys. So, you could have pulled up the plot and at least know what you're talking about. Because when you come and you just make offhanded statements like that, you've not helped anyone, because you've not elaborated, you've not said anything, you've just condemned and moved on. So I think if you want to correct people, you need to correct them from a point of know what you're doing. Then just like a side point, me kidogo I agree with the lecturer about why don't you know, because let me give an example. I was in a meeting the other day for one of the clubs that I'm in and this girl was talking about the way in her first semester she didn't used to read she didn't know anything about Kenya. So it was a public holiday, aliingia shule, and she didn't know it was a public holiday. So now she's entering school happy, and she was only going for one class because at the time it was online classes. It was like COVID times. So she's entering like happy, jovial. How she's going to her one class. Now I'm a commute. Dem amejav. Alafu anaingia sijui I'm going to class and she was told, it's a public holiday. Shut back home.
Yeah, you just have to.
You spent money, you spent time, you woke up early. You come to a class and you didn't tell us it was a public holiday. I don't think you need to know everything. But I think you need to know something.
The basics.
Yeah. And even like the club patron was like, you don't read the emails that the VC sends us, because she sends us emails to say, hey, tomorrow is a public holiday. Just inform international students tomorrow is a public holiday. But she didn't even look at that. So I think I think you shouldn't like see ati ujue politics from A to Z, from Kenyatta to Ruto. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying just to know that what is relevant
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
I agree. There's something you mentioned about.
Is it about
Lucifer?
Lucifer?
Yeah. Because, okay, taking it from someone who's watched Lucifer, I think even the fact that, in a way, it's after progressing in it, because I didn't even watch season 6. It's kind of, you even get, there's a kind of conviction.
I know. The thing I
get-
know about Lucifer is it puts you in a space to sympathize
It's with the devil.
That's my
Exactly.
thing.
Lucifer
That's
does.
my thing. I was just about to point that
Get
out. about
out.
Lucifer.
Because you're like, there's a point in time I was like, oh,
Why are you humanizing him?
like it's like at some point I was like, God is so mean. See, it takes him back for real. Like you feel like, God, see, you took up back the prodigal son. Why can't you take back Lucifer?
Because Lucifer has
He's
not
repented. Exactly.
So that's you know that the show puts you in that point of having sympathy for
the devil.
And he's
Yeah.
the devil.
Yeah.
So
To some extent, your pastor was not wrong.
He was
Yeah,
not that he was not wrong, but he was just
He was
saying-
ignorant.
He was ignorant. He didn't know what to say. So I agree with the fact that Lucifer is not the best show to watch.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is,
At least to do a background.
Jua
know something and then have an argument to
Yeah,
back
yeah.
up his.
Actually-
religions.
yeah, especially when you're working with teens. You know, teens need to know why.
Yeah.
Like you can't just tell teenagers that's right. And I've heard you people watching Lucifer. It's very bad.
Why
Very
is
bad.
it bad?
Why are you?
Is it bad?
Why are you worshiping the devil? It is turning you to Satanists. That's like legit almost what he said. He said that it's turning people into Satanists. You know, no, it's not. Not really. I mean, it's getting you to sympathize with the devil, but it's not getting you into a cult. It's a very like slow progression of it starts the journey, but it doesn't. It's just a journey of sympathizing with the devil, but it doesn't like. You're not in a cult.
Can I be honest? Even there was a point in time when I started watching Lucifer. I think that was the point in time I kind of became like. I was even telling Daniel this the other day. I became like a temporarial atheist. Yeah, because now it made me question. Because there's a part that it was talking about Adam and Eve. Now this one you can include. It's fine. Even that.
It's going
other
to
one.
include it,
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah.
But like there's a part in time it was talking about Adam and Eve, and it made me question a lot about like the creation story, and it made me think like you remember how in the creation story how like God cast the devil into the earth, and now Adam and Eve blah 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 they were formed and the serpent was in the garden, and in my head I was trying to ask myself, why is it that like God already knew the end before the beginning. He knew us before he conceived us in our mother's womb. He knew the plot line of how life is going to turn out. But then he still put the temptation in the Garden of Eden.
Can I say something?
Yeah, but I was just like explaining how at some point
It
got me to a point of questioning, and I was like, this faith is a little bit tricky.
It's a bit fishy.
Yeah, kuna ka loophole pahali sielewi.
I had someone said something. I thought it was so profound. It's because if you take away the temptation, you take away free will
Of choice.
You take away that person's ability to choose God. God wants us to choose him. He wants us to know we have all these options, but pick me. God is that pick choose me, love me. That's what God wants.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, despite knowing the end, despite knowing, because God knew, God knows even now we will fall. Every day he knows he will fall. I think even to the point where even before Adam and Eve sinned, God knew Christ would have to come. He knew. But he still wants you to choose him. He still wants you to make that decision of yourself. Because if you're not making that decision of yourself, then you're worshiping God because A, that's all you know, or B, out of selfish reasons, out of, let me just worship this God so that, without him, stuck it. Let me just do it for, it's all for your own self-gratification.
But
it may digress. But anyway.
I think it was it you?
Yeah, but
Ulimaliza peke yako.
nilimaliza yangu.
Sawa. I think the question is, was it right for that? Okay,
The question is just, what do you think
what do you
about
think?
it?
Okay.
Like, what's your opinion?
I'm going back and forth because I have been in a similar situation where in school I'm taught I had never, like, in school I had been taught, obviously I'd been taught about creation, but I had also been taught about like the Darwinian theory and evolution. But there was no point in my mind that they were a contradiction to each other. So I remember, I think when I was in class 7 or something, is
We had
when-
learned about evolution in class 7.
Yeah, class 5, 6.
Yeah.
About evolution by then.
We didn't learn it in history.
We did
Theories of
in
man.
history. We did in history, but we also learned it in primary.
Yeah.
We touched on it. Like,
Hey, Daka, your class to this.
Wait, did we do it in primary?
yeah, SST.
I remember it
We
was so
did.
easy to
Yeah,
Because we were doing
SST.
we were doing it in relation to even the archaeological sites in Kenya.
Yeah. And we even, I remember even in that SST, we talked about creation, we talked about evolution,
theory.
we talked about Kinamumbi, we talked about the Kalenjins coming from the hills of a giant. I remember Kinamumbi. So anyway, yeah, even when I was learning all that in SST, I remember even learning it in high school as well. Like, at no point did it ever occur to me that there were a contradiction to
Each other.
So I'm not even sure if this was in high school or in primary. I think it was in
your
high school.
childhood.
In high school. In my
When
fine.
I was young.
When I was younger. We had met as teens, and one of our pastors was talking to us, and then it was when I was in high school, because I remember I was also doing I was doing geography, and we were doing this climate change maneno.
For cyclones and all.
Like climate change, natural causes, human causes. Anyway, and then this guy comes and he's like, oh, climate change is a scam. Like, human caused climate
Blame
change
Donald Trump.
is a scam, and evolution is not real. And that threw me off balance, because like, you can't tell me that. So I remember approaching him and being like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's a scam? So he explained to me, and I was still so confused because it didn't feel like it was making any sense. And I remember at that point it really got me questioning a lot about evolution, about creation, what is it, what is right, what is what, So I put that thought to, sometimes when things disturb me too much, I don't try and find a conclusion. I just ignore and I move on with life.
Yeah.
So that thing, I had tracked it under a rug, and I was like, Miss Yelevi, but
It's okay. See must near.
I can't see, I am blind.
I'm blind.
I have a question. I'm trying to remember. When you're talking about climate change, the activist, the young girl who went on
Greta
a boat.
Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. Yeah, I was trying to remember her name.
Yeah, come.
Are you done?
Anyway, and no.
Sorry.
Who was I going with this? So, I don't think that. So now, like right now, when coming back to this point of what do I think? Okay, now that I've spoken it out loud, I think just don't make it seem. I feel like you can teach both of them, and you don't have to make people fight. You don't have to make people
dividing factor.
Yeah, you don't actually get that thing. I remember that was the one time in my life I had me. I won't lie to you. I'm not a questioner. Me nikiambiwa enda hivi nitaenda. To be honest, that's kind of person I am. And so for the first time in my life, I found myself questioning, and it was such a perplexing state. I hated it. But I think just teach. Just teach like the way I was taught,
Yeah.
I was taught what I was not made to see. It was not made to seem that I had to choose which one is right and which one is not, and I was not told this one is real and this one is fake, It was just taught to me as plainly and as simply as it is for my knowledge. And for me, like before I was told this is right and this is wrong, there was no, like for me I knew creation is what I know, For like it was a no-brainer. But when it was pointed out to me that creation is right and the other ones are wrong, is when I was like, what?
Why?
Yeah, why? Anyway, yeah, just teach them all, but don't put people in that state of having to choose which is right and which is wrong.
Can I say also, being taught all of these things is a representation of free will. Because then you get to choose like what you get to exercise your free will and choose what you believe in, which is what God designed, in my opinion. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I think just to add to everything, because I agree with what everyone has said, I truly, truly believe with every fiber of my being, and you can call me naive, it's okay, I don't mind, but I truly believe that all truth points to God. I believe that one. That's a hill I'm willing to die on every day. Like it's to the point where there are certain aspects of other religions that I believe to be true simply because all truth is God's truth. So with even with evolution, I believe that it points to God. I know it can be a bit fishy, especially in this circle of Christianity, where it's like, oh, we don't
Made to
really believe
choose
that.
creation
It's
or
either you believe in
evolution.
creation or evolution. First of all, I frankly don't believe that they are mutually exclusive. I think they both exist. I think they can both be the truth. It's okay. Yeah, you can call me naive. I don't mind. But yeah, so when you take certain aspects of that truth and you sort of make it to be demonized, or you make it to be not really a truth, then what are you communicating? Because can you imagine a kid who really, really likes SST or that part and really, really likes learning about it, and then in church he's being told every day that's a lie, but he really, really likes learning about it. This kid is going to grow up and be like, frankly, I believe in evolution, and because I believe in evolution, I can't believe in God, so I'm an atheist. That's generally what's going to happen. There are so many people who have shared that the thing that drove them away from the faith is just how incompatible evolution is with the Bible. But I frankly don't think it's incompatible. So such things, I feel like that's the result of the church kind of
Forcing things
making things. It's really never that difficult. Just let people learn and let them choose for themselves. That's what I was going to say. I think that's all that we had, frankly, because we've really been talking.
Before we wrap up, just on that last question you guys were doing, there's evidence of it happening, of the results of this happening right now. Kids who are growing up in, this is the States, but that's how the story is. You've grown up sheltered all your life. You've grown up in the church, you told no, these things aren't real. You learned them in school, but you came home and these things are reinforced. No, it's not really, leave them alone. But in South Africa University, and
Even here.
a lot of these kids are going to liberal arts colleges in the States. So sasa ukienda umetoka nyumba yako mlikuwa sijui Missouri in the middle of nowhere.
On a farm.
So not even on a farm, you're in a suburb or wherever you are in the south. So now you're going to UCLA in California. So you go to UCLA and all of a sudden you go and you meet all of these people and you interact with people, your world and mind is expanding, you're questioning, you begin to ask yourself, what is this? And then you start to ask questions. But when you come home and you ask those questions, the only response you get is, you don't get any solid response or answer. So a lot of these kids are if I can't find answers here, but these guys are giving me answers, see then nitaamini wenye wananipatia majibu. So wacha niende now, and you start people blaming the liberal arts colleges, like how they wanaribu watoto wetu. It's you who failed to prepare your children
For the world.
And so when they go to the world and they find these things and they can't think for themselves or critically question and come and ask you because they know there's no answer, then they'll go to where there's an answer, and they fail to recognize that. So now banning all of these things in schools, kuna mahali watafika watafundishwa hizi vitu, especially because they're in the generation of the internet. Hawezi nifungia nimekaa tu niko.
And now that creates the gap of now these kids will grow up and see Christianity as like anti-science or anti, modernism. I think also, I want to tell everybody, if you are curious, there is such a thing as theistic evolution. So it's basically the belief that evolution happened and was guided by God. Like God creates through the laws of nature is basically what it is. Yeah. Like he set up the laws of nature and then he lets them run. You get, So, like that there are so many like biblical scholars who affirm that evolution is happened and is real. Christian biblical scholars, because there are also atheist biblical scholars, but Christian biblical scholars who affirm that evolution happened, So don't fear knowledge. If you truly believe God is truth, then you must believe all truth points to him. I think you can't not believe both.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I think just even to add on what Karen was saying, it speaks to your parenting too. Train up your child on the way to go, and they shall not depart of their ways thereof.
But sometimes people train their kids but it depends on how.
Yeah, because like when you train up your child on the way to go, like in terms of the way she was using that example of don't dismissing your child's questions and not finding an appropriate way to give them an answer. That foundation is very weak.
Yeah.
And once now you bring them into the world, they will depart of those ways thereof.
Yeah.
So when you train up your child in a foundation that is strong, that you kind of reaffirm it with, well, I do not know all things, but this is what I believe and this is what I think is truth. Or even finding a good way of explaining it to your child, that why you believe it is truth and backing it up, and not saying that science is damned to hell or such things, and seeing it as something that is correlated. The way you are saying all truths point to God. I think with that,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, with that, I liked that also.
Yeah.
Not me, Thomas Aquinas. Not me.
With that, you're able to, even when your kids go into the world, they have that firm foundation in their faith, and not seeing it like intellectualism is something bad.
Yeah. I think also, ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not going to give advice to parents because I'm not a parent, but I think you need to let everybody make that decision for themselves. They get to a point where you need to separate your faith from your parents' faith.
Yeah.
You need to step away and say, okay, I don't believe in God now. And then allow God to work in your life. Because there's no point in being 40 years old and you're still holding on to your parents' faith. It's really embarrassing. It's very embarrassing, man. So if your kid...
Sticky note.
You're getting your mother's prayers carried.
There's no point. There's no difference between you and somebody who publicly says they are an atheist. Because even you, everybody should just walk their own walk. Anyway, before this episode becomes like 5 hours long, I think we can end it at that. Does anyone have anything they would like to say before we end it?
God bless you.
Amen.
We love you.
All right. Make sure you follow us on our socials at P3T Podcast. Send us an email at p3tpodcastke@gmail.com or Ko-fi.
And if you think there was a time we were struggling,
Coca-Cola, you know we
You know me.
You know
talk to your
I might be sick, but I still love you.
And DM us, by the way. We really love reading your DMs. And if you have anything you'd like to add about the episode, catch us kule kwa DMs. Anything else?
Like our reels, like our content, like our everything. Like it, share it.
Yes.
Tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your dog, tell your cat.
For real, we really spoke it into existence, guys.
What?
The cat. Now it's Coca-Cola waiting.
Pauline got a cat, and Priscilla is allergic to it, and me, I don't like cats. That's all I have to say. I don't like pets. Give me a fish.
Yeah. Bye.